You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
Of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
There's the Rockfin one.
And we are live. Welcome to Anonymous Bites. Back, it's April 8th or the 9th, depending on where you are in the world.
How's it going, everybody? It's been an absolutely insane, well, I mean, 2020, 2021, but today in particular has been fairly weird. I don't know what story you want to jump into, Tyler, but I
kind of want to talk about. I mean, just for like a little bit, what's been going on in Myanmar. It's getting pretty bad. I mean, it's not like it hasn't since the protests started about a month and a half ago. They're still shooting people in the streets. Earlier last week, they had airstrikes against a certain group of people who live near the border. I think they call it, or a province. It's called the Karen, and thousands of Myanmar citizens were fleeing over the border into Thailand, and now the Thailand government has been sending them back over the border. But this is worse than it was, I think, in 1988 when they had another coup attempt. I think there's more than 500 dead people since this has started.
Yeah, there's like all these towns are being burned, right? There's like hundreds of towns being burned in all these places, and it's a complete chaos there still. And the internet is also, what is it, down since the March 15, I think. At least the mobile networks.
Yeah, the internet. I read in a report on like what actually happened. So they didn't do like a soft kill. Software killing the internet. They actually, what I was reading is that they actually had when they first tried to shut down the internet, the military was cutting the lines physically, which is the weirdest way of doing it. I mean, essentially, if you had access control to like a central place where the internet goes out, you wouldn't have to be cutting all the lines. But apparently, that's what they had done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can see it in NetBlocks, right? The NetBlocks Twitter account has like the graphs of the internet traffic in Myanmar, and you see like literally since March 15, it's like, what is it, like 5% of what it normally was. So that's like, yeah, 95% of traffic is gone. Apparently, most people were on mobiles, I guess.
Yeah, or some sort of satellite connection. I've heard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even
I'm putting out finishing the promo tweets.
okay.
Yeah, make one with the YouTube too, please. It's just like, because
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I'm locked
one of
down.
their beauty pageants for Miss Myanmar. I guess I guess they were having some beauty pageant, and she had spoken up this week against what is going on for Myanmar, and she's not willing to go back to. She's in Thailand currently. She's not willing to go back to her own country, out of fear of retaliation of what she had said.
Hectic.
Yeah, we'll push the link from you in all the chats then, Steve. Like, going to share that one in all the group chats, and then seems wiser.
Yeah, I know while their previous leader, that lady, I don't remember, I can't ever remember her name. There still was stuff going against the Rohingya, but this is going on a whole nother level of just a bad situation. Seeing little kids, being shot in the street. It's not a great sight.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's like and the international community can stop this so fast, but they're not doing anything about it. And I also read that Japan was like deeply involved with it, like economically, supporting this hostile regime.
Yeah, and the Chinese were, at the beginning, they were helping out Myanmar. I'm not totally understanding that one, but okay.
Hmm.
I just, I don't know, dude. I've talked to now a couple different people with many varied opinions about what's going on in Myanmar, and at least as far as like what's being talked about coming out of this and what it's going to look like they're going forward. And God, it's not very promising.
Yeah, not the slightest bit, because you're dealing with unarmed citizens against an armed military that has imposed its power over the citizens. You know, it's not looking good anyway.
I got in an argument with somebody who was like, "You're just spouting imperialist talking points." When I was like, "But no, I'm an anti-authoritarian. yes, it's nice that a Western puppet government is no longer in charge there, but can we at least agree that military juntas are bad for civil liberties and human rights in general? Can we, recognize that the armed military roaming the streets, fucking not necessarily checking as to who they're shooting? Bad idea.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, not everything was perfect with the other ruler, but you didn't hear about airstrikes either against their own people.
Right? Man.
Sometimes it just comes under the you might have thought the previous rulers were bad. Well, things can get worse.
Right? Right? Jesus, man. So I've been running around like crazy all day because I had a bunch of stuff to do and still to do to get ready to drive down to Los Angeles tomorrow. And I'll be driving to go pick up Sleepy Josh before I drive to LA because we're going to be holding a couple of events this weekend around the 2-year anniversary of Julian Assange being illegally and violently trafficked out of the Ecuadorian embassy and into solitary confinement and a sort of nebulous style special administrative measures treatment in the Guantanamo Bay of the United Kingdom, Belmarsh Prison. So I didn't see anything about the Facebook and Instagram going down today, but it's number 2 on the cover list, and maybe you guys can tell me about that.
Yeah, Instagram pretty much went down, but
Yeah.
I never saw it go down myself, but I saw like so many people saying it while it was down. So yeah, so they have a few main locations, right? So if like you pretty much have the American location, and you have I think Ireland for the rest of the world. So one of the two went down. I didn't notice anything, so I'm assuming the American side went down.
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't know. I'm not on those sites, but I had heard it through Twitter, but I don't know. I've always had my doubts, against Instagram as a future major player as far as social media sites. So
Yeah.
it's popular against the who's who crowd, but as a platform in general, can it last the test of time? And I always tell myself that will any of these, and I just always see Instagram as such a limited social media site.
It's a little. You know how it is, everything on the Facebook platform, it's all censored, right?
Yeah.
So, well, you have like okay, Twitter has some bad censorship too, with like killing accounts and stuff. But if you have like a hashtag and you're not shadow banned or whatever, your hashtag it shows up like in the tweets, in the latest tweets, or if you have some retweets, then it goes to top tweets. But in Instagram, for some reason, you always show up like below some kind of paid advertisement thing.
Yes.
So yeah, like if you have like a popular subject, then you first have a few thousand advertisers who pay to go on that subject, and then your message shows up. And it was the same with Facebook all the time. Like you had these paid Facebook pages, and your own content would not really show up. ABB content would not show up at all. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just for me, Instagram, it's always been so limited. I mean, I wouldn't be sad if it disappeared. I really wouldn't.
It's another Zuckerberg platform to me, which to me just makes it an extension of the national security state. And I don't have an Instagram. I don't have any interest in getting one. I know that there's a significant amount of street organizing that goes on, street level activism that goes on Instagram, and there's people that have been getting seriously fucked with in Los Angeles for being on the ground activists and live streaming, on their Instagram, because you're not supposed to show, real time footage of the real world, because that is somehow, I don't know, verboten at this point. Everybody's YouTube channel is getting taken down for live stream footage. Ford Fisher got fucked with. Convo Couch got fucked with. Jason Burmis lost his channel for a minute today. They had to give it back to him because they deplatformed him for absolutely no reason and realized it. But it's coming again. He'll get that again. Clearly targeted. They're going through and looking at every single channel that they have given a strike or a warning to. And they're looking for things. They're algorithmically searching for keywords to get them banned. I just went on our live stream earlier to go find some footage from the January 4th extradition hearing verdict, which we were covering live. We went to DC for it, had an event, we were getting ready to go do our thing, and woke up hella early to cover this live. And YouTube, I just fucking found this out, so I didn't even announce it on our own show because I was too fucking just really trying to figure out if I was seeing what I was seeing. YouTube has removed every single video that we did from Washington, D.C. that entire week. All of our footage is gone. All of our live streams are gone. Not only that, but like anything remotely related, it's gone off the Action for Assange channel. I can only imagine it's gone off of Nico House's channel. Let's see. Oh no, no, gone, fucking gone. Everything that we did in DC that week is gone. Now, okay, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it. I'm not sure what YouTube's stance is on who owns what or whose property the actual footage belongs to. I mean, if they wanted, since they're like you're going live streaming and stuff, if they were real responsible about content creation or who owns what, they would still allow the content creator to the ability to take his own footage, download it in a downloadable format, and post it somewhere else. But that's just not the stance that they have.
Right. And like, fortunately, we've got backups and we're on multiple platforms. And Odyssey does a like free full archive backup of all of your content. And Odyssey just started live streaming today.
Really? They're doing, I thought that was only like an audio format, right? But
no,
they do live stream. No, wow.
Yeah. I mean, they just started. They've been running beta on their live streaming capabilities since like January. But a friend of mine who has a fantastic show called Macro Aggressions, Charlie Robinson, had a tweet out earlier today saying, I'm going to be live streaming with Odyssey CEO in a couple hours. You should check it out.
No, I got to start thinking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've told our audience for months now that as soon as Odyssey had live streaming capabilities up for everybody and it was out of beta, that we'd be pushing that shit as an alternative, as an actual free alternative to YouTube. We've been pushing Rockfin pretty heavy as well, just because it's fucking. We've already got almost 4,000 followers over there. There's hardly anybody that follows us on Odyssey because we've only had the backup channel there. You know, it only serves as like an archive. But now with live streaming too, hopefully we'll be able to get people on YouTube that didn't want to come over to Rockfin for whatever reason. And they can come watch us on Odyssey, and we can just, you know, we're going to go on YouTube until they kill the channel. Like, we're not going to leave politely or voluntarily. That's silly. Make them kick us out, but it would be great to bleed their audience while we do it.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, I've kind of like, I'm not exactly sure what YouTube's stance is on anything. It's like unless you're posting cat videos, you're not really allowed to keep on streaming. I mean, even the science channels, they've been cracking down on it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that. They're like, it's almost as though that you can't post anything on there, really.
State approved media. You have to run state approved topics and narratives. It's not about the truth anymore when you can censor doctors and, you know, true, which used to be like legal experts, you know, even they get censored now.
Yeah. I don't know. They're gonna run that platform into the ground.
You need to be told what to do, Tyler. You can't think for yourself. That's dangerous.
Well, I know a lot of content creators that are making a shit ton of money off of there. They're not making as much money as you would think. I guess for some people it's like a source of revenue, but but you know, Mike was telling me at one point, you know, he was making a lot of money on there, but he's not making the kind of money he could live off of anymore off of YouTube.
Yeah, it's all dried up, you know, and then you get demonetized. Forget it. So they don't want the little guy out there doing reports, despite the fact that that's really a great thing that, you know, YouTube and YouTube Live would be good for. Is like, you know, reports like that, you know, that's not really what they want.
Well, I know Mike always has a great perspective where he's always out there where the violence is happening, and they don't want that kind of stuff on there, you know?
He's gotten beat up pretty bad this year. Of course, you know, I mean, he's an anarchist, you know, me and him kind of differ on things, but, you know, he does believe in it. And I mean, he's really paid the price, man. I think he got a broken wrist. And they stuck a billy club in his, you know, he's kind of running away from him on his bike, and they stuck a billy club in there and crashed him. And I mean, it's gotten pretty ugly.
Yeah. Keeps on texting me that his dog needs surgery.
Oh, is he? Yeah. I thought he had all that squared away. I hadn't chatted with him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, and just real quick, we may get dropped in on by Glory. She was heading down to LA's having a tenants' rights protest that she was going to go cover.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean dropped in on? She's on air like every week.
No. I mean, like, she's not here. She may drop in on the stream from the protest.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha.
Okay. I'm sorry. I could have said that a little bit better. Scattered. Still. I still have so much shit to do before I can even fucking think about trying to catch a little bit of sleep before I wake up and go pick up Sleep Josh.
You're going to have a busy weekend.
Yeah, no. So, press panel. If you're in the Los Angeles area, please come out and see us Sunday. It's part of the International We Are All Assange Day of Action. Sunday is 2 years since Julian was illegally and violently trafficked out of the Ecuadorian embassy. We're in LA. We're going to meet at noon at CBS Columbia Square on Sunset and Gower. We're going to march a block up to Hollywood Boulevard. This is in Hollywood. It's not clear. We're going to march down the boulevard. We're going to take a left on Cahinga. We're going to land at CNN a block down the road at Sunset and Cahinga. And it's going to be us. It's going to be Fuck Censorship. It's going to be Cold War Commission, LA Progressive. There's a number of other, I believe, organizations that are on their way out to stand with us too. Really excited about this event. The day before, Glory and I, with Pasta Jardula and Fiorella Isabel from the Convo Couch, are going to be hosting a press panel specifically for LA independent media and activist organizers. We're going to talk to them broadly about how the Assange case affects them, and then specifically as media and as activists, as organizers, how it affects them. Hopefully that then will generate some more, I guess, cross-pollination. At these events, we're really clear that Action for Assange is post-partisan, that you're welcome to have whatever ideology you subscribe to, but this is not the place to sell it. Here, this is about trying to, secure the life and freedom of Julian Assange, yes, but also press freedom writ large, and to stop the United States' just monstrous gamble here for international jurisdiction over the press and the criminalization of investigative journalism going forward.
Yeah, of course, in the Assange case matters to everyone, right? It doesn't really matter what kind of political side you're on. I mean, press freedom, everyone depends on it. You only realize it when you lose it. So kind of with your freedom of speech too, you only realize it when you're suddenly being censored, and you normally think it's all it's just how it's supposed to be. So you just expect you always have it, and then suddenly it's gone, and then it hits you.
It sucks.
So yeah,
He's been locked up for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on a 1-year bail violation, or was essentially just an FTA. Which is ridiculous. In America, if you get an in most countries, if you have an FTA, it's usually a slap on the wrist.
In the UK, if you have an FTA, it's a slap on the wrist. Julian Assange was given the longest sentence for bail violation in the modern era of UK justice. They gave him the full 50 weeks. And they do a kind of halftime thing like they do in the US. It's a little bit less. He ended up doing 32 or 38 weeks on that 50. It was considered full time when he was done, and since then, it was about sometime in September of 2019, he has only been a political prisoner held without charges, and for first facing extradition, now awaiting appeal. But since September of 2019, 0 charges, only a political prisoner.
Yeah. And now he's really locked up, right? But in the embassy, he wasn't free either. And before that, he was also under house arrest. He wasn't free either. So it's he's been in this for such a long situation. Maybe a decade. Yeah.
10 years now.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so what What's encouraging to me right now, though, is that we're looking at more international events than we've ever seen for this. We found out yesterday that Deem25 is throwing a crap ton of events all over Europe and North Africa, and West Africa too. There's Assange events in Senegal. There's an Assange event in Syria. There's supposed to be an Assange event in Naples that is incredibly well attended. I mean, just with the ones that like we've helped, put together, the ones from the people that we've been working with, including the online events, we're over 40 now. And then the in-person events themselves are approaching 40 internationally. For the first time in the US, we've got double-digit numbers for events. That hasn't happened before.
Yeah, apparently there's one in San Francisco now too. I'm not sure that one is online or offline.
That one's online.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm just like Alex was like forwarding it. Of course, he's much faster than I am with adding those things. So on the site are missing now. At least I mean, according to Alex, missing on our side, we are allassange.com, are the second Mexico event, Ecuadorian embassy, Vienna. Munich, San Francisco, and Natal. And there's a new thread in alphabetic order. So if you want all the updated events, because there's not much time, go to Candles for Assange on Twitter. Yeah, after the show, or maybe during the show, I will add them too, but maybe she already so fast now. But I can tell you there aren't 40 on the site yet, so go to Candles for Assange and you will find all the events on the list. Springfield 2 on April 19. And there is a bus tour by
and the one at Springfield, Massachusetts on the 19th is pretty cool because they're going to Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey's office. Ed Markey is one of the 10 Democrats that signed the open letter to Elena Moreno demanding Julian's expulsion from the embassy. And Markey also responsible for the Telecom Act and a number of other horrific pieces of legislation. Ironically held up as some progressive champion when he was running against one of the Bobby Kennedys. And totally not, like an absolute piece of shit. But what Markey did is he looked into the camera with his sincere politician face and he said, Green New Deal. And he said, Medicare for all. And progressives went, oh, he's great.
You know, triggers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I've said this before, and I really do believe it, man. And I realize that I'm saying this in a world where there are conservatives who believe that Jesus handpicked Donald Trump to lead the country, but progressives, American progressives, the DSA left is by far the most gullible voting bloc on the entire fucking planet.
Well, who are these groups that wear these pussy hats, man? To me, that's like the most shameful.
Shameful, sure, but gullible. I mean, there's nobody more gullible than like the AOC progressives. Yeah, I don't know, man. In an increasingly secular society, the same energy that would go into a supernatural belief system has been transferred over into political identity and politicians. They've deified them and they've fucking sanctified the political rhetoric. It's now dogma. Fucking everybody's so subcategorized in their, labels and shit like that nobody can have a fucking conversation anymore. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think what they do is they substitute the state for the so-called religious view. It is a religion in itself. It's like the religion of the state. That's
Well,
what
and
left
it's
us
not
all
though,
into.
because what makes it religious is that it's an imagined ideal of a non-existent state. Like it's something that doesn't exist. This like imaginary democratic socialism where there's like the argument is now about like how much you should tax the rich and what to do with the fiat currency and how like this and that, it's
Well, yeah, it's like your tithing. See, taxes are like a tithing to the church. Uh, you replace instead of Jesus, you need your politician, which plays directly into their narcissism. I mean, they're all for that.
right. I mean, that's across the board. We don't have to go drag out the pictures of Jesus hugging Donald Trump in the Oval Office, do we? Those things were pretty fucking embarrassing. Like I fucking it's a fucking cartoon. It is.
You know
Jesus Christ.
what's weird to me is like that people are so divided on all issues, and that is strange to me. Like if you fight for like a press freedom or you fight for like freedom of speech and these things, these things matter to all, and still the people in power manage to divide people into these little groups and making sure that people never unite on things. But
That's
like,
the manufactured confusion.
yeah, because
People thinking they got to care about how many fucking sub labels you've attached to yourself and shit like that. Dude. It's ridiculous. It is.
but that's
I don't say that word a lot, and I apologize.
well, I even see it like in a Anon community. We have it too, right? And there's a lot of Anons who disagree with each other on a lot of things, right? And they sometimes they message me and say like, yeah, this person is posting this weird stuff, and I don't agree with it. What kind of bullshit is this? And I just always say like, you don't have to agree to everything these others do because we are not a group or whatever. This is just a collective of people, and people disagree on stuff all the time, but you can still work together on the things you do agree on. You see, and that people forget that you fight for your actual rights against this establishment, and these rights matter to all. You don't have to agree on economic policies at all when you're fighting for freedom of speech. That matters to everyone. So I don't get that part. So yeah, but they always manage to do it for some reason. You put people in these partisan boxes and you weaken your front so much. Yeah.
Well, I've seen a lot of folks. They what they believe in is their free speech. They're free to spew whatever they want, and then everything else, is subject to their views.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's okay. They totally misread what free speech is. So
Well, no,
you got a
they're
bunch of
pretty
people
open
that
about
think
they
that
don't
way.
even want the fucking free speech, man. Like now, they're entirely open about it. No, we need to control speech. Disinformation and misinformation is a problem, and it's gotten out of hand. And there could be this and there could be that. So we have to take steps to filter the information stream. This shit that they're saying on camera in front of people for them to see and nod their heads in agreement. Oh yeah, no man. That's what led to the Capitol riots, right? The disinformation, motherfucker. It's one of those things, dude. Like you really had to be there. If you were there, you would have witnessed a false flag happening in real time. Because I was there and that's what I saw. And everybody that I talked to that was there in a post-partisan fashion or as an observer or as a member of the truly independent media where you don't have to pretend about fucking team sports for clicks because, you to have a fucking backbone and a brain. They all witnessed the same thing. They witnessed a false flag happening in real time. And look at what we have now. We have domestic terrorist legislation coming down the pipe that fucking Dick Durbin introduced that is just absolutely fucking terrifying in the way that it expands the scope and reach and mission of all of the existing domestic terror agencies and all of the three-letter agencies in every jurisdiction. There are massive surveillance upticks. There is massive fucking censorship spikes. Like, dude, Whitney Webb got booted from Patreon, not for medical misinformation, but for accurate information that may make people question the official narrative, and that's real. That's a thing that fucking happened. You know, I mean, it is. This is why we organize. This is why we need people to join us when we do these events. This is why we need people fucking shit up in whatever way they are comfortable with in their own conscience, man. It's fucking time, dude.
Yeah. And the Mad Mom is right, of course. I mean, you have to defend free speech for people you don't agree with. The crucial thing, right? Otherwise, you're not defending free speech at all. You're just
Yeah.
defending accepted speech. You're essentially creating a thought police or a speech police. We're allowed to doubt everything. We're allowed to do that. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a different era online where anything you say is really subject to censorship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got. Yeah, well, all people in this voice chat now, you guys remember how the internet used to be, and it was not like this at all.
No,
Like,
nobody cared. It was like the Wild West. You
yeah,
could do
but
whatever
now
you want. I remember when eBay there was a listing where where a woman tried to sell her virginity. Do you remember that? And it's just a
yeah,
different. It was a different age back then. You know, you could do whatever you want, say whatever you wanted. It was the Wild West, and now it's just like now there are rules.
Yeah, where was the big, who voted for all that? I mean, where's this huge outrage of people that just demanded that corporate social media, start doing all this censorship, right? I mean, that's all
They
manufactured within their own, corporate offices is where it
Yes.
came from. Like,
Yeah.
well, you're dealing with so these few big social media, these pretend capitalist companies, they entered into the market competing with the rest, but behind the scenes they were funded with intelligence money, etc. And they were able to take over the market with a small group of companies like Facebook, Twitter, Google. And if you look into their funding, you will always find the same intelligence ties. And they were able to compete the rest out of the market. They bought all the patents, they bought all the popular aspects, the rights to all the popular aspects of the different other social media, and eventually they took over, right? And they pretty much honeypotted everyone in. And at first, even Facebook was pretending to be this whole free speech platform where you could say whatever you wanted. I mean, people don't even realize it anymore, but that was how Facebook was presenting itself. And yeah, gradually it changed into this, yeah, completely bullshit
Well,
thought police network.
yeah, but it changed so quick. I mean, it was like 10 years, At first you were given that big hand job about it's all about you. It's YouTube. It's all about you. And I mean, like in 10 years, they turned it into like the surveillance, network. It's like, yeah. Well, yeah, of course we're tracking you. This isn't selling your data. I mean, we got to make money. I mean, what the fuck? It's all about your data now and how we're selling it. And I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, well, of course. First, they start like silencing the whole hate speech thing. Uh, then you have, yeah, other forms of like harassment against people, for example. And you have yeah, certain insults you can no longer use, and then you can put them in a political context and things, and it becomes like suddenly you're censoring political opinions too. Use that context. You're no longer allowed to criticize certain people using the wrong words. Yeah.
Or the cops will show up to your house. You're not allowed to criticize people mildly. We just covered two different instances today where in one case it was a CHP investigator, in the other case it was FBI agents and sheriffs who showed up at people's houses for like mild criticism of politicians via Twitter. One was a joke meme about Ted Cruz. The other one was seriously. I'll show you the freaking tweet. Let me see if I still have it up, man. What the fuck? There it is. I'll drop it in the chat here. But I mean, the dude had a thread about AOC, or like a 2-post thread where he rolls a clip disagreeing with her answer, and throws out a couple of phrases or words that he would have liked to have heard her say as an answer, and they showed up. Underwhelming response. Would have liked to hear her use any of these words when she talked about Israel, and he wanted her to say occupation or apartheid or genocide. And there was another one, and did I really just lose my spot already? I'm doing great today, gents. There's that bit and this bit where, I mean, really, dude, that's it. So, incredibly underwhelming response. Words AOC used, what and how. Words AOC didn't use: occupation, apartheid, colonization, genocide. Visit from an investigator with the California Highway Patrol. That guy's name was Christopher Van Clavern, because he left his card.
That AOC. She also has this completely hostile look all the time. Like, she's not a nice person, I think. Is it weird I'm saying that? Or
I mean,
No.
most actresses are what the fucking look, dude. She's an Instagram influencer with a congressional seat. It's fucking. She went to, like, the story about her is that she grew up super poor. Her mom was a housekeeper and all that shit, and that's true. But she also had a dad, and she also went to a couple of really choice universities, and clerked for Justice Kennedy. And I mean, if she hasn't been groomed for the better part of a decade to be this person right now, who could just look at everyone who fucking bought the marketing hook, line, and sinker and go, ha, fuck you. I do what I want. And what I want is to continue having this seat and this power. So I'm going to do whatever they fucking tell me. So fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't feel like that is a stretch by any means. I know there's people that disagree with that take. I do. But I'm willing to have that conversation with just about anybody.
Well, we should all listen to a bartender tell us about global economies, or green global economies, even more important. I mean,
what the fuck does being a bartender have to do with anything, dude? I know bartenders that are fucking 10 times smarter than half the fucking, I don't know, dude. For example, like,
well, I mean, they're not typically PhDs, and I'm not. I don't think she is. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Okay, no, but they have one thing, and they have people skills in many cases, and people skills help you too. Like, you have to understand how people, think about things. You learn a lot. Like, they talk if you're in a bar, people talk a lot about a lot of different things, right? And you learn a lot about society from it. I think that benefits you. Yeah.
Well, her high priced wardrobe reeks of money. Is she really someone who needs to be representing the poor?
I don't think anyone who is currently in U.S. politics represents the poor.
Yeah, none of them.
No.
None of they're all
No,
out of
the
tax
marketing. The marketing says she's supposed to represent the little guy. Her own words say she's supposed to represent the little guy, but that's everybody. That's everybody in politics. They all fucking say, you know, when I get to Washington, I'm going to shake things up, and it's gonna be Main Street, not Wall Street, and the fucking fuck you, you sack of shit. Like, why? Why? But Misty, my friend and my co-host on the vigils all the time, says, how many times does your government need to lie to you before your sense of skepticism kicks in?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's very simple. I mean, you have a military budget of 800 billion a year. Anyone who represents the poor, you can cure homelessness like in one day in the USA. As long as that doesn't happen, the poor people aren't being represented. I mean, yeah. It's not that hard. There's like lots and lots of empty buildings, for example. You could easily, like with just a few.
Yes, there are. Dude, there are
Yeah.
more empty houses than there are homeless.
Yeah. So even if so you need only like a
What
small
are
budget, I
fucking
think,
homeless?
to refurbish or to change these things into homes. It would be like a small budget in comparison. You don't even have to build new buildings. You at least create temporary homes for the homeless, or otherwise you have to make squatting legal. I mean, it was always legal in here. If a building is empty for
Right? I can
for
think
2
of a
years,
couple of choice golf courses that people are too afraid to go on during COVID. We could just, take it over and develop it as a homeless community. Throw a bunch of tiny houses up there, space them out nice and good. Fucking, stop putting the fertilizer on everything. Give it a couple of years to wash away before you plant some gardens, and then get at it.
yeah. Well, here we had a huge housing crisis in the 1980s, late 70s.
Apply
and
golf course.
So,
Sorry.
but to solve that, I mean, students couldn't pay for housing here because in Amsterdam housing was just too expensive and stuff. So they had a huge housing crisis in the 1980s, and as a response to that, they made squatting legal. And it doesn't mean that you can squat everything, but when a building was empty for 2 years unused, you were legally allowed to squat. You were allowed to go live there if you didn't have another place to live. So you just would like squat in it, and you would have a rule: if the police came in, you would need at least a couch and like a mattress to prove that you're actually living there and you're not just like breaking in. That was the rule, and it was legal. You wouldn't get arrested for it. The local government would bargain with you and make an agreement with you to like provide electricity and stuff and water to the building for you. So yeah. There's legalized squatting. It's only like a few years ago that they made squatting illegal here, and it caused a lot of chaos and caused lots of fights again. I mean, squatters were protesting, and yeah.
Oh man, just now breaking, DMX has died at the age of 50.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was going to happen.
DMX, hip hop ledge.
Yeah, he
Stepped on
was
her.
brain dead when they brought him to the hospital, and most people don't recover after that. I kind of figured that was how it's going to go out. It's sad. Drugs got the best of him,
Mhm.
Yup. Yep. And now, of course, everybody's going to trip over themselves to say how much they love the dude and always supported him and how much he meant to him. And fucking, they were throwing his ass under the bus for years.
Oh, he had
Yeah,
substance abuse problem. It's a mental health disorder. It's
Right.
not like a personal choice,
Yeah, okay, it's a sad story, but at the same time, today a few hundred people died in Myanmar, a few hundred people died in
Yeah, no,
Yemen.
I get that. I get that. I do. And we opened with Myanmar, and we should go ahead and plug what Humanity Voice is up to. And if you want to, we can go over where the events are taking place internationally too.
Oh, for Myanmar?
I no for the global Assange events the this
Oh,
week.
yeah, go ahead.
Um, well, Mark, did you want to say anything about the like was Op Yemen or Op Feed Yemen?
Yeah, Upfeed Yemen.
Yeah.
There's Twitter storms for Upfeed Yemen. Um, yeah, so Humanity Voice on Twitter, or you can just search for Upfeed Yemen, and you will find that they're doing this fundraiser, and it is these two guys. They're on the ground in Yemen, and they're literally they're posting these pictures and videos and stuff what they're doing, right? And I mean, they don't get much in donations or support, but what they're doing with it is incredible work. I mean, they're putting like these huge silos with drinking water in these streets. They're providing like food to people, and they're providing medicines to people, literally. And every cent they're getting, they're actually doing something with it. And it is just two normal people. One is actually from the area, and the other one came over to help. First was him alone. Was only one person, and the other one just went to there too. And yeah, and they're doing real work. And for me personally, it's the most important fundraiser, and the only fundraiser I always share. The most important fundraiser for me I've ever seen in Twitter history, because I just see how little they get and what they do with it. That's just what I noticed. And if you want to help out with that stuff, you can always promote it at least on Upfeed Yemen, or Yemen Can't Wait is also a good one. Yemen Can't Wait as a hashtag. So that's it really.
Cool.
Oh yeah, okay. I can mention real fast. 24. They say 24 million people in Yemen right now are facing hunger and lack of food, lack of medicines, and you have to choose between food and medicines or other necessities. So this might be the biggest humanitarian crisis in history. 24 million.
Yep. And what, the Biden administration made some like platitude overture to it, halted direct arms sales to Saudi Arabia. But they just put like a pause on negotiations for new weapons deals until like now. It's supposed to start back up April. I think it's more towards the end of the month though. So I've got this candles for Assange thread up, and I'm just gonna read them off in the order that they're on there. So she's got them 36 actions now, and then a number of live stream events. 12 countries, 5 continents, 3 events in I think that's, what are you? Australia, yeah, 3 events in Australia, 2 events in New Zealand, Seoul, South Korea, 2 events in London and Scotland, 6 events in Germany, events in Austria, Amsterdam. There are now 10 or 11 events in the US, 2 in Mexico. We've got at least 1 in Toronto, San Jose, Costa Rica. In the US, I know for a fact that we have Los Angeles, because we're throwing it. Seattle, Denver, Colorado, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Washington D.C., New York, Raleigh, North Carolina, Chicago. What am I missing? I think that Tampa, Boston just had theirs. That one in Springfield on the 19th, but they're going to be there because of the 2-year anniversary. And it's a We Are All Assange themed event. I'm missing something. I am. I feel like bummed. I'm gonna try and find it in the thread. If you have anything you want to add. Denver,
You mentioned digital event in San Francisco.
There's an online event that the Bay Area Assange group will be putting on. Natal, Perth. Yeah, there's North Carolina. So, Green Sunday. Cool. Yeah, and if you go to the Candles for Assange Twitter account, on the flyer for the San Francisco Zoom event, it's got the link and the everything you need for it. Seattle, Seoul, Toronto, Tulsa. Yeah, no, I don't think I missed anything.
Yeah, so and in Brussels, in Belgium, there are monthly events from now on, like the first Monday of the month and the second Monday of the month. They have events in Namur and in Brussels. So it's really taking off in that sense. Let me just, okay, I will give the location until real quick. The first Monday of the month is at the UK Embassy, and the second Monday of the month is at the US Embassy. And we have weekly events in Namur in Belgium, weekly on Mondays, every Monday at the Place de Lantier at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. But okay, yeah, Alex, he said like there are more missing. Okay, so we have also you have to go to for events in Germany mostly. You have to go to freeassange.eu. They have a list of events too, and that is mostly in Germany, and they have like weekly events there too, in many different cities. We are all Assange.com. We have an event in Berlin at the Ecuadorian embassy. I think you already mentioned that. I think that is at the station U-Bahn Kurfürstendamm at 11 a.m. Ecuadorian embassy. Yeah, I mean it's all over the world now. I mean that's good to see, right? It's huge. It's everywhere. There's even a bus tour in London, I think, but I think it's already booked full. It's like incredible. Get like a second bus, third bus. But did you say like what was that location? There were like 40,000 people expected. What was that location? I forgot about that.
According to the dude who he was pulling it like directly from one of the event organizers, but Napoli.
So he's really expecting 40,000 people in Napoli. Well,
I
it will be
don't
incredible.
look, man. It's what the dude said. I can't confirm that. I can't. I'm not going to try, but it'd be kick ass.
I know it's going to be bigger everywhere. I guess. I mean, I would be happy if at least some people show up. It just matters that at least there are some people at every location, and that they make sure people are aware that this is going on. But yeah, with 40,000 people, you can make a huge voice, of course, and that does make a difference. But if you go to an embassy or whatever, they'll be shocked. 40,000 people is like a soccer stadium filled with people, a football stadium. Yeah. Wow, we never know. I mean, it is a huge thing. A lot of people are getting involved now, and it's good to see that. Yeah, people have so much solidarity. And it's good to see that the Assange movement is growing in that sense. The Free Assange movement. It's not getting
Yes.
small, it's getting bigger. Yeah, and as long as it's getting bigger, at some point we reach critical mass, and they can no longer ignore us, I think.
Yeah. Did we talk about the ICC?
No, and I this is the first I'm hearing about that.
So this is-
would.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, this is not the first time that the ICC, the International Court, has been put into question. So the ICC, I guess, had. I guess some people wanted to charge Israel with war crimes against the Palestinians. They said that the ICC has no jurisdiction in Israel. But to play the devil's advocate, right? America has had the same stance on the ICC.
Yeah, only after they lost. I mean,
Yeah.
America was convicted. The American government was convicted over Nicaragua. What is 1986, I think, for war crimes in Nicaragua. And then suddenly, when they lost, they said, "Yeah, you guys don't have jurisdiction over us, right?" But lawyers here in The Hague still say that they do. We do have a jurisdiction over you, and you still owe us the money, right? So yeah.
I've often questioned the ICC mainly. It's had problems internationally, and the only countries that it's ever had success for war crimes is been in Central Africa. But I think it's kind of from what I've heard when I was reading up about it like a week or two ago. I think in the last couple of years they've only had less than a dozen cases.
Well, and in all of 2020, they didn't see any, or most of 2020, they didn't see any because nobody would show up. So
It's a joke, kind of, to be honest. Like
it is. Bolton and Pompeo used the ICC to like practice their roast material. And I can't remember which one it was. I believe it was Pompeo that directly threatened the family members of ICC fucking judges. And like absolutely nothing happened.
Yeah, the Americans also kept ICC people out of Afghanistan from checking up on the war crimes. They made sure that these people were not allowed to visit. So they're threatening them too. Yeah, definitely. That's what they do for some reason.
the UK, remember in the UK, soldiers were raping imprisoned soldiers in the Middle East. The ICC, the UK had the same stance as on the ICC, that they have no jurisdiction.
Yeah, and they really don't. Well, how can you enforce jurisdiction if you have no enforcement arm?
Yeah. And that's where the trouble with the whole ICC has been in. It's almost like when it's almost like a congressional hearing. You just get shamed and nothing comes of it. You know,
Right.
unless you live in
Right.
Central Africa, then things actually
Yeah.
happen.
No, it's like getting a chastising at the UN General Assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The only thing they really did successfully was the Yugoslavia situation, I think, in the end.
Right,
They
but
did.
that's because he was an enemy of the fucking Five Eyes at that point. He'd stop
Yeah.
being a useful idiot.
True.
And Milosevic was inarguably a war criminal, but so was everybody else that we were funding and arming, and we were war criminals, and fuck you. Like, that whole scene was just...
Didn't he drink poison while he was in court? Or was that one of his confidants?
Well, Milosevic said he was.
Yeah,
He said he was being poisoned in the Dutch jail. He said he was being poisoned with dioxin.
No, there was one of them that was on the international court, and it was out of the whole Yugoslavia. It was either a general or somebody else, and they poisoned themselves while they were in court, killed themselves. I just don't remember who it was.
I know 3 people went to court there. That is the Mladic, Karadzic, and Milosevic.
Maybe one of them.
Yeah, so Milosevic was the president, and Karadzic was, I think, a general.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mladic guy was the highest guy in the military, I think. But they searched for Karadzic for like a super long time, and he was found hiding as a barber somewhere. But he was like surrounded by bodyguards and everything. And I remember that even like they did these wanted things like in local newspapers, right? And it would like pay you money if you would find him. But they had like a number below it you had to call, and that number literally pointed towards United States phone number that was unreachable for these locals. So the Americans clearly didn't want him to be found at that point. It was only later on that they stepped in, I guess. But I think what like Steve said, when he was no longer useful to Five Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit to being, somewhat cynical, but...
Yeah. Okay.
No, Alamo, okay. So basically, every AOC clip is painful to watch, but she's sounding. I mean, she's been drunk on her IG live streams and shit like that. She's literally turning into Nancy Pelosi before everybody's eyes, and she's staking herself out like more and more into the quote unquote center, which is the conservative authoritarian right. And it's hilarious to me to watch because I've been telling everybody this for fucking years now. And it's, some people it's like their first day, or it was their first day just a couple of days ago, last week maybe. Oh my gosh. Maybe she's not. And yeah, I mean, she does. She sounds like exactly what I told everybody from day one when they were all falling in love with her and trying to throw her their money, and that she is there to inherit Nancy Pelosi's power, not take it away from her. And the sooner you guys figure that out, the sooner you can get past this fucking, like idiotic notion that you're going to be able to go into the Democratic Party and reform it when politics, as they really are, is really, really poorly executed theater.
They're radicals. At least female radicals who were here in the Democratic Party. Green plans.
Hmm.
Well, it'd be okay
That's
if
hilarious.
she could explain it.
The pivot of, or the supposed, or here fucking the like I guess transformation of what's her name? Kirsten Cinema or Kristen? Kirsten Cranston?
Gillibrand?
I don't know. But she was originally like a Green Party official. I think she got elected, maybe. But was working with the Green Party and then went to the Democratic Party. It was the one who like showed up to make a huge display of turning her thumb down at Medicare for all or some shit, stimulus. I can't remember. It was a fucking bit of theater there, but like these should also serve as like, I don't know, teachable moments for people that the process itself isn't for you. You're not a part of this. You're never going to be a part of this because the system itself is designed to not work for you. Yeah. Fundamental redesign.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, what the little guy needs to realize is if you're not going to start coming up with some money to pay these guys off, then you're not going to get any representation. You know, that's like the seat at the table. You know, everybody wants a seat at the table, but you know, it's got a price tag on it. You know, basically. They've turned it into a lobbying type of government rather than people's representative. Bring cash.
Dude, the AOC gets fucking like cold busted. And like, you know, just passing along chunks of money to, you know, corporate Democrats who didn't even want it in at least one case. And look, if you're like, okay, but that's what they always do, then you admit that you're donating to a slush fund that you have no control over where your donation goes, that you're okay with that. You're okay with your money going to support people that you would not support on the off chance that it might land on the candidate that you do support. But you still understand that all of these people work within the same system and that your money is essentially making sure that that system perpetuates. And you're okay with that? You're okay with that. I mean, dude, like, if you want to throw dollars away, I'm pretty sure that in at least a handful of states, you can still get a lap dance. More payoff personally than you ever will giving it to a politician.
Mm.
Was it that? Or what other subject do we have to cover? I might take a huge list, Tyler.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to have another gun bill in the United States, and like I said, like I've been saying, that you know that 9 out of 10 gun, a lot of, not nine, but a majority of the guns that have been confiscated recently have been ghost guns, and they want to have regulation on that. So now what I'm looking at is like, so you're going after a small, it's not really a small niche, but it's getting to the point. Okay, ghost guns really have been around a lot longer than they think they've been around. And then if they're going after the equipment that making the ghost guns, now people who make computer parts, auto parts, and stuff like that will have to be subject to this like weird paperwork battle if this all goes through. So like, it's getting to the point where it's almost ridiculous. I don't know how legitimate or how far these new gun laws will go. Um, I don't know.
It doesn't help.
Well,
This is the problem.
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, this is the problem the U.S. has like with the drugs laws too. It's like you make all the laws, all the drugs illegal, and there's not less drugs. You're like just dealing with like dangerous drugs everywhere, and all these street dealers selling like drugs to children and stuff. It's all in the criminal system, not in the healthcare system. But in here, where we have super strict gun bans, there is no less guns. All the guns are like on the illegal market. There's like 500,000 guns here in the illegal market. If you only have like 17 million people,
Oh,
like
go ahead.
I can get a gun here, like literally like 10 miles away. I can get a gun here, right? And this is totally illegal here.
Well, the
But
guy, the guy in the guy who actually made one of the popular ghost guns is from your country. He designed the plans and everything. He's like some sort of free speech activist. He makes his own bullets. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if
Well,
ghost guns are big in your country, but like one of the guys who designed one of the popular ones lives in your country, so that would make
okay,
sense. Yeah.
okay, well, okay. The only place where like gun bans have really worked is London in the UK. But there, everyone stabs each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the largest number of stabbings a year. So yeah, it doesn't reduce the killings.
well, this is a testament to the black market in the Netherlands, and I mean, if there's that many guns available still, and let's hear it for the black market, the true market.
Yeah, well, we have open borders. You do like that doesn't make sense. If we have strict gun bans, but like in Eastern Europe, there's no gun bans at all, and this is like open borders. So I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. This for us, it's too like in most of Europe, weed is illegal, but in here it's legal. But the borders are open. There are no borders. Like people have to imagine what it means. The border is open. There's literally nothing there. Right? You're just driving on the road, and then suddenly you're in a different country, and there's nothing in between. There is no border, right? So you have like one step it's illegal, and one step further it's legal, and there is no one in between. So it doesn't make sense. Like here, fireworks is illegal. In Belgium, fireworks are legal like the whole year, and it's literally like there's no border. So shortly, like yeah, like before like the new year, people yeah they know like fireworks gets expensive because everyone wants to get fireworks at once, right? And they only sell it for like 3 days or something in our country. Fireworks. That's when they're allowed to be open. But you already see like people driving to Belgium weeks before that to get fireworks cheaper. So
It's the same in the U.S. where fireworks are banned in certain states and legal in others. Like, dude, when my brother was alive, he had grown up in Iowa, and his biological father was there, and he'd go out and hang out with him, and he would always stock. He'd dip down into Missouri and make sure that he would stock up and like fill a fucking knack box with fireworks, and then bring them back here. And we would always go out like in the middle of a lake or something like that, set them off. To California, they'll like, people are pissed because you could set the whole state on fire. They did with one of those stupid,
Baby reveal. Yeah, they let
Yeah,
the fire the desert on fire.
the gender reveal parties every time, dude. They're like they prove that they're the most absolutely cursed idea ever. Always causing some sort of catastrophe. This is why I'm encouraging people who have ideas like that to get tiny little tattoos on the inside of your wrists that say, maybe don't. And just whenever you have an idea, look down at your hand. Maybe don't. It'll help. It will. Well,
Well, it sounds like there's just a lot of cross-border smuggling going on in Europe, and I mean, everybody's okay. Just don't. It's okay. Just don't get caught. Yeah.
I mean, that happens here too, but state to
Yeah.
state.
It's only a problem
Cigarettes,
when you get caught.
bullets, liquor. Yeah. People.
Yeah, yeah. You have it in Scandinavia too, like that. You have like in Sweden, if I'm correct, like cigarettes and stuff is like super expensive, and then people go over just across the border to the next country to get it, and but it is not really a border. There is nothing there. That's the thing. So yeah, so the prices are just different. You're in a different town, and suddenly there's different prices on all these products because suddenly there's like no super high tax on things. Or yeah, that is weird. But for us, it was the same because we have like illegal weed sales, right? So a lot of Belgians they came like over the border to the Netherlands and to buy weed, and there were so many of them at some point that coffee shops decided to have like a membership pass, right? You had to be literally give your ID card to get like a little pass to be able to buy things, like a membership card.
Hmm.
Uh, well, that cost so many street dealers to start selling weed that it only lasted like a few months, and they had to like stop the entire project.
Ha.
Yeah, it's just not how it works. Yeah, there's money to be made there. Then all these young guys and stuff, yeah, they just buy weed and they sell it at like a higher price to these Belgians crossing the border. Yeah, yeah, whole new economy, right?
Yeah, I heard. There's weird shit like that going on in the UK and Spain right now. Most of the weed that gets smuggled into the UK is grown in Barcelona, which is weird as shit to me.
Oh, yeah, that is weird. Like, actually, in Portugal, I think it's completely legalized,
Yeah,
but that's not so close to
all,
Barcelona.
all drugs are decriminalized in Portugal. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the weird thing, right? So then on one side you have all these countries having a completely different laws and pushing hard on it. And on the other side, the same politicians of these same countries are pushing for this whole uh, EU government kind of thing, where you have like one law for everyone. At the same time, they're doing that stuff. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. I know you guys have the same problems with different states, I guess.
Well, yeah, we're moving. States are moving more towards decriminalization, and there's been some evidence of like that. You know,
Well,
products
like in
crossing
Europe,
borders that shouldn't.
Yeah.
like in Europe, you that EU is like, why would you want yet another layer of government with all the other government and rules that you got? Why would you need another government layer like the EU?
Yeah,
Why
I
would
agree
the
with you.
people want it?
Well, for some countries, especially Eastern European countries who that lived under, for example, under like, Soviet influence in the past, the laws are a little stricter than here, and they had less freedoms, I guess. So for them, joining the EU means like much more freedom. They get huge economic subsidies and stuff. But for traditionally like super relatively free countries like Netherlands, for example, it is not a good thing. Uh, yeah, no, because we only, yeah, for us it can only get worse, right? Because all the other countries have like less free laws, so why would they all adapt to our laws? Doesn't make sense. We have like a tiny country. Uh, yeah, the UK, I guess, understood that well. The UK is, yeah, moved out of the EU in that sense. But they never adopted the euro either. Again, they were also the only country that was never conquered by the Nazis. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like weird to make that comparison, but yeah, who runs the European currency? Biggest banks, who sets the prices, and it is all in either in Germany itself, right, or in Luxembourg, where big banks are too. It's all occupied, former occupied areas. So the UK has that kind of like a trauma in history. That I'm not going to say that UK is better now. I mean, look at what they're doing, like to journalists, and now to like stopping the right to protest and all these things. They're fucking things up really bad too there.
It's all part of that global crackdown. You know, that's what you see that like this last year is just like how organized it is. You know, with these vaccines and the same there crackdown. Everybody, almost everybody, going under some kind of restrictions.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem like it'd be that organized in time, or for other. You never get organized like that on anything else. Seems like, but all of a sudden you get these certain issues like this nonsense. All of a sudden there it is. Everybody's bought off. We all need to listen to Bill Gates and.
I'm not sure, Rob, if it's unintentional. It almost seems like the same group of people, like these authoritarian people, got their way in all the different governments. Yeah, probably using money. Yeah, I mean that's always a huge influence. If you have a lot of money, you have a lot more power to lobby. You can hire a lot more lobbyists, and you can offer a lot of things in return. And also keep in mind that for many politicians are just like politics is just like one step higher, and then afterwards they usually get hired by some huge company, some huge corporation. Especially in here, that happens a lot. Like they always end up like at a big company. Like in here, it's mostly like a Royal Dutch Shell, for example. That hires a lot of politicians, foreign politicians. So they made their career in politics, and then they end up at some huge company. Ernst and Young, for example, too, recruits a lot. So yeah, I know in the U.S. Yeah, you have like more like still more of like an entrepreneur landscape. So these politicians become like public speakers, like Clinton and stuff. They make like a shitload of money speaking in public.
Well, we still have that revolving door though, especially with the defense contractors. Shoot, now it's like I think the second time we have a military guy that gets for a defense secretary, and he gets a waiver because it's supposed to be against the law, but yeah, the new America.
Politicians are the public relations minions. Maybe like mid-level management at the PR firm for national and international oligarchs. The reason it looks like they're all on the same page, or that throughout the West a lot of people are on the same page, because they are, because they've all incorporated UN 2030 and Fourth Industrial Revolution and Great Reset talking points into their campaigns and into their messaging. This is as united as the predator class is ever going to be, because they know that this shit isn't sustainable. That's why they're pushing this fucking what do they call it? New global governance. That's what they're calling I don't know, whatever the conspiracy theory words have been over the years. But this is their word for it. New global governance. Right now, this is week. There's been the Global Technological Governance Conference put on by the World Economic Forum. It's horrifying. Glory and I are going to be doing some deep dives into it when the LA events are over. But they're coming out and saying it. Like we've got the guy who wrote the book COVID-19 and the Great Reset saying that these vaccines will be the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution. That their vision of a global governance hinges on the rollout of these drugs. And Peter Thiel is the guy that has all of the health information. Hooray! Like I did legit. Palantir has those contracts for all of your health information in like 4 different Five Eyes countries.
The Five Eyes.
We have Janet Yellen, your Fed chairman, calling for global taxes and a global currency. So, I mean, this is getting pushed from the highest levels of the oligarchy.
Yeah. There was. Hey, Gloria, what's up?
Hold up, obvious fucking undercover. I had to click him off. Okay, we're good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Glory Jones, you're on the ground at the LA tenant strike in downtown Los Angeles. What's going on?
Just a nice little protest. I mean, yeah, like, okay, so can't say this too loud because, like, I'm walking with them, but, like, LA tenants are, like, super, nice and peaceful and vanilla. So, like, they're not going to do anything to really try and rock shit. So yeah, it went on like peacefully and all that. Like police presence was pretty minimal and like very nice by LAPD standards. There's probably only about like 20 present. Not fully armed, but they did have yeah, they did have their batons out, and they had whatchamacallit, the little the green guns. I forgot what those fire, but a couple of them had those. And yeah, that was it.
Okay. Why were they? Why was the protest? Why was it like? What were they organizing over?
I was gonna say, and obviously, like, other cars and undercovers, like, going through the whole area. They only sent over one helicopter, which is nice, again, by LAPD standards. Basically, this was a protest by LA tenants. It's kind of, it's a joint action between tenants and Hillside Villa, and then they also invited some of the organizers from Echo Park. Saw some of them there. And the theme of the protest was housing not cops. So, because pretty much, if in LA, one thing that really exacerbates the homeless problem here is the police, is the fact that so much of our budget goes to these stupid fucking helicopters, and that pretty much all they do is go around sweeping and terrorizing unhoused people in their free time, along with peaceful protesters. But yeah, so, yeah.
Cool. Whoa. Are you on your way back now?
I mean, yeah, it dispersed all peacefully and stuff.
Okay.
Like I said, kind of your standard peaceful protest, but I like the message, so yeah. And I may or may not, allegedly, have put up some extra Julian Assange flyers on City Hall. But yeah.
And it's LA, so I assume that you're on your way to an after party or something.
In coronavirus, please. Nah, I'm going to sleep because I have to be up early tomorrow to register for classes.
Right.
That's my life. I got to register for classes, then go to work. And then I'm going over to, Cavo Place, and we're going to get to see Scoop Gang in person.
It's true. It's true. Josh and I should be there early afternoon, mid-afternoon, something like that. And then we got to figure out when and how and where we're meeting up with Allie, but I would definitely like to do a holy shit, we're all in the same spot live stream that night.
Yes. And then Fee was saying that she wanted to do a live stream together too. So welcome everyone again to another Slow News Day production meeting.
That's how we do.
Yep.
We do it live.
We do it live.
It's free. The content ain't costing you nothing.
You can get this banter for free, guys.
I'm glad Josh is coming with you, by the way. The guy's been coding like every day for like
Hell
a long
yeah.
time.
Me too.
My man's been grinding shit.
Yeah, die hard. Okay, he deserves something else.
Yup. That's facts.
Yeah, I hope your protests are going to be like really successful and like huge. I mean, probably. I mean, the Clovers thing was already big there.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're getting some good turnout from some anti-war people. I mean, yeah. Like I've made like my little on the ground effort here to just tell people I see about our events. Whether they come is a different story, but
And we like Kim Iverson's coming out on Sunday, Ron Placone's coming out on Sunday. Hopefully Tripoli remembers to hit up a few people. And some of the more like aware and awake and on it LA comics will show up.
yeah, those who aren't afraid to go outside their house.
Right.
Yeah,
Well-
Steve. Because the thing is I think a lot of people are outraged about this, but the problem is they won't get outside their fucking house. Yeah, I'll finish that thought.
Well, they were too busy on TV the other day begging for some kind of certification for all these businesses before they open up. You know, you got to have your priorities.
Yeah, I'm so bad at this thing. I'm not doing the grifting right.
Yeah, you have to be a super grifter with an agenda and a narrative. You got to have it all, man.
I know. I suck at it. And Steve's not helping me either. He's a poor teacher.
What?
Yeah, you are. Sorry.
Oh, what did I do?
You're a poor teacher in the grift, Steve.
Oh, well, that's fair. That's fair.
I think it was a compliment.
Yeah, no, there's very, very, very little money in truth.
It's the art of turning emotion into a good grift.
Yeah, no, you see my cadence and delivery. I'm not really going for the overly emotional here, my friend. I mean, we get it, you know, get a little activated, but uh, no, man, we're saving it. Like we put all the energy into the activism. The show is something we do for fucking therapy. I don't go out to change anybody's mind about anything. I do the show to fucking ease my own mind about everything, man. It works pretty much every time. Fucking things go particularly well. Everybody gets a hour or two distraction from their impending doom.
You know, like emotions and activism are so destructive now because you remember, like when you like first got into activism and stuff, you got so angry over everything, you wanted to destroy everything, right? All these horrible things going on, and then now it's like when you're like in this for like years and years, then you realize there is so much shit going on. You can't even afford to have these emotions over that anymore.
Right. No, you look, man. Emotions are something that like we can schedule, right? Like, you want me to do? We're doing the emotions now. We're talking about feelings and shit. Okay, I've got 15 minutes. Wednesday. You know, the 3:48 to 4:03.
Yeah,
That's when we.
yeah,
So
I
we
ain't
can
even.
talk about. We could do that. We could do feelings then.
Yeah, I ain't even going. I ain't even going to gap. I suck at hiding my emotions. Nah, I'm like, like when I get fired up about something, you can tell.
Oh, for sure. No, and look, man, there's things when you get fired up, it's not because you're fucking going off on some contrived fucking manufactured confusion fucking narrative shit. Like, we all get, you know, a little into what we talk about because it's what we do. I mean, it's like what we get, you know, worked up about on the show in a rant is so when we're on the ground and we're like living out the activism that we're asking for on the show, we have much clearer heads.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm
I
an
feel like
impulsive.
I behave myself quite well.
Because I'm even more of an impulsive little shit when I'm on the ground.
Yeah, but look, man, you also listen if somebody's like, yeah, that's a bad idea, Glory.
Yeah.
Got 5 minutes, guys.
Yeah. I got you,
Well,
Tyler.
Maybe you should push all this through your handlers over at the Democrat Party headquarters. You know, make sure you can get the most funding and the most amount of activists over there. You know, just run it through the party, man.
Right.
Be so, like doing shit on your own all the time, like you're free or something.
I know. It's like we're independent thinkers. Like, what is that?
What's the matter with you?
You know. Fuck them hoes.
Wow, we're gonna have to send some Democrats to a re-education camp, man. This is really getting walloped.
Who's a Democrat?
Leftist?
Who?
Who?
Yeah, not me.
Leftist supporters.
Oh,
This is post-partisan gang up in here.
Huh?
I said this is post-partisan.
Well, that's true.
Post-partisan. Huh. Wow. Well, that's
I don't know, dude. I don't do politics like that.
yeah,
I
me either.
never have. I never will. It's just it hasn't. I got thrown onto as a volunteer a congressional campaign when I was 16, and that was enough. I saw it. saw how it worked from the inside. Like, people fucking just trusted me because I was a kid and my dad had got me that fucking spot. They didn't know who my dad was. They didn't know my dad was this candidate's fucking like 11th grade history teacher. And that's why it happened. Because he was a fucking cool teacher to this guy before he got his other job. You know, like, so I was given way too much trust and way too much fucking like insider information for that fucking particular position, and I saw what politics were, and no.
Oh man, that's called grooming, dude. You've been groomed.
Yeah, you should check my portfolio. Jesus Christ.
It's not a conspiracy anymore, man. You're working with them.
Yeah, clearly.
Ooh, what's this? An empty pole?
Not
You
only
look-
that,
you
I
look
have
good.
exceeded the expectations of them. Them.
I'm still waiting for that George Soros paycheck.
Right? I'm cut. On that campaign, I was passing out Ralph Reed Christian Coalition voter guides.
Ooh,
Yeah,
sounds like
for the fucking GOP. High on cocaine, also from the GOP.
Straight from Mitch McConnell's yacht.
No, I mean, I don't know about maybe. I don't know. Not sure. It was fucking killer blow though. Yeah, you're right. That was my experience working with the Republican Party when I was 16 years old in Indiana. That was a while ago, only a couple of years ago.
Did you ever work with Democrats? I mean, like as comparing like operations.
I haven't. You know what? I like fucked around and hung out a little bit at Nader's campaign headquarters in 2000.
that's some killer art.
I actively vote for Cynthia McKinney
Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
for president when I fucking decide to. I'll write in Cynthia McKinney every time.
Hey
Just
guys,
'cause-
we have 1 minute left.
Oh, that's right. All right, guys.
You know, must be
We
your
are on
face.
Songe.com
April
for all of the events
11th.
internationally.
Always remember to spam neuter your pets and politicians.
It sounded like she said it at church.
All right, I'm rolling out.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse.